We have some great stuff to announce today, because today we're announcing a new iMac, completely redesigned from the ground up. Their loudest request, flat screen. We said yes. We could have taken our iMac and taken a hacksaw to it, chopped off the back. So we're going to put a flat display on the front. Who needs the back? There it is, the new iMac, ladies and gentlemen. But there are some problems with this. There are some fatal flaws in this approach. With the flat screen in the front, you notice it's not very flat anymore, is it? Because we've glommed the back on with all the rest of the stuff. There's nothing flat about this computer. This approach is far less than great, and we rejected it. Why don't we let each element be true to itself? So it is my privilege to now present to you the new iMac.
So it's 1997 and Steve Jobs had just come back to Apple, and this was the current Macintosh computer. Jobs obviously did not like the direction that Apple was heading and immediately stopped all of the projects that they were currently working on. He then started a new product strategy, a product for consumers and a product for professionals. Entering May of 1998, Steve Jobs took the stage and introduced a product like no other. The iMac G3. Gone is the ugly beige color which was used on every other computer at the time, replacing it with a fun translucent plastic shell. The first color to be released was Bondi Blue, however 5 more colors would be released next year. The iMac G3 got rid of the floppy disk drive and replaced it with the CD-ROM drive. This was a pretty risky decision for Apple since CDs were still very new at the time. Not only that, but there was a removal of most of the ports people would use. All there was on the machine were a microphone jack, headphone jack, 2 USB 1.1 ports, Ethernet port, and a 56K modem. No PS2 ports, no ADB ports, none of that. The matching keyboard also had USB ports on the side. One side could be used for the puck mouse, which is a very interesting design choice. This product pretty much saved Apple from going bankrupt. Fast forward to 2000 and we get our first look at the new operating system, macOS 10. While it was technically in development in early 1999, when macOS 8 was the newest at the time, we got to see a complete redesign from the desktop to the applications and menus. Design language was actually taken from Steve's previous company that he had started called Next. macOS 10 was released in March of 2001 and was actually pretty sluggish and not very well optimized when it first launched, so they released a bug fix version later that year. Though 2002 was about to be the release of something big, not only were they about to release the next version of OS X, but they were going to release a computer that people even today say that it was a beautiful machine. Enter the iMac G4. With its round base and rotating flat screen, there's no doubt that everyone was wanting one of these. Because they were phasing out CRTs in favor of LCD, there was no flicker when you look at the display. Although there weren't any cool colors when the machine shipped, the rotating screen was definitely making up for it.
As well.
The screen sizes were from the smallest being 15 inches and the largest being a 20-inch model. Some of these iMac models were actually lucky enough to be updated all the way to OS X Leopard in 2007, with the latest update being 10.5.8 being released in 2009. However, you need an iMac G4 with at least a 1GHz processor. Though let's look at the keynote that introduced this iMac again. What did they say?
With the flat screen in the front, you notice it's not very flat anymore, is it? Because we've glommed the back on with all the rest of the stuff. There's nothing flat about this computer.
There's nothing flat about this computer because they shoved everything in the back. They even said this.
This approach is far less than great, and we rejected it.
The design is far less than great. Okay, so at least they know not to use that design.
The entire computer floats in the air on an aluminum foot over your desk.
They literally did what they said they wouldn't do 2 years ago. There is literally nothing flat about this computer. There's also a huge chin with the Apple logo on it. I'm not gonna lie, this design is kinda ugly without the camera. Not only that, but when you notice when Phil mentioned how you can move the screen around on the previous iMac, he tries to demonstrate that you can do the same thing with this model too. However, in reality, your desk isn't as slippery as that surface, and when you move the screen, you're also pulling the power cord, which the G4 doesn't do because the screen is a separate part of the computer. And if you notice, even the iMac design today takes inspiration from the G5. Now the question that you've all been waiting for, why did Apple discontinue this computer so quickly? Well, the thing is, they knew that their time with PowerPC was coming to an end soon. Intel was dominating the market, and Apple knew they had to acquire them to make chips for their computers as well. So unfortunately, there was no PowerBook G5 or iMac G6, and Power was just removed from the name entirely. But they weren't ready to tell us that yet, and they said, hey, we made the iPod, here's the new iMac that's at the same angle the iPod is tilted, f*** you, bye!